Assalamualaikum to all and especially our valuable lecturer, Professor Madya, Dr. Norhayati Binti Husin. We are from Bachelor of System Management, IM 245. We gonna do a presentation of Subject Information Analysis for Decision Making, IMS 502. For our group assignment, we choose a topic which is the relationship between social media use, depression, and anxiety in general generation. Before we proceed to the presentation, let me introduce the group members. I am Muhammad Syahmi bin Sharudin, and the other group member are Delina Nabila binti Bunia, Nur Farisha binti Zulkifli, Nur Farhanim Syafinas binti Abdul Ghaffar, Nurul Aina binti Mota, and the last but not least, Zurul Maisara binti Zulkifli. First of all, I will explain about our research title. For our research assignment, we choose the topic which is the relationship between social media use, depression, and anxiety. We select this topic based on the survey from the relationship between social media use, depression, and anxiety in general generation. In contrast to researcher example, we exchange general generation which born on the period between 1977 and 1985 to the present generation. We exchange to make the article become more interesting and easy to understand.
I'm going to present about the introduction of our research assignment. So for the background study, as we can see, in today's world, many of us rely on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. But spending too much time engaging with social media can actually cause mental health problems such as anxiety and depression. By some estimates, roughly 4 billion people across the world use social media. Research suggests that people who limit their time on social media tend to be happier than those who don't. Studies also indicate people with depression and anxiety issues may deal with death or suicide, feel worthless and insecure, or have physical symptoms such as fatigue or headache. What is depression? Clinical depression or major depressive disorder is a mood disorder that is categorized by persistent feelings of sadness and loss of interest in activities that an individual used to enjoy. Depression can be mild or severe and make it difficult for those who with the condition to concentrate, sleep, eat well, make decisions, or complete their normal routines. While anxiety is an emotion categorized by feelings of tensions, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. People with anxiety disorder usually have recurring intrusive thoughts or concerns. They may also have physical symptoms such as sweating, trembling, dizziness, rapid heartbeats, or difficulty to breathe. The objective in making this research is to study mental health issues, specifically depression and anxiety, correlated with social media use. The research also investigates whether there is any significant difference in background factors among respondents with the acceptance of social media. For the research question, based on the results, the age of user appears to have an important relationship to whether their social media use is connected to a mental health problem. Besides that, gender factors shows that female spend much more time on social media than male, and they spend more effort in their social media activities for impression purpose. It is also important to investigate how race, educational background, and marital status correlate with social media and mental health issues like depression and anxiety. This information may be helpful for clinicians when working with individuals who seem to struggle with their social media use. For the problem statement, firstly, the respondents of the survey were only from the people around the authors. The authors are from Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, so this indicates that the respondents were majority from the same area as the authors. Because of this, the research is unable to conduct it fully from the population of Malaysia. The other problem was the method of distributing the survey. Our Google Form survey was distributed through online platforms such as WhatsApp and Instagram. This makes it hard for us to collect all the data in a short time of period because most of them are likely to just ignore the survey. This is probably because they thought that the survey was a spam or something that is not important. Besides that, we also found out that people in Malaysia are not fully aware about mental illness. This is very worrisome, and we think that everyone should pay more attention to this topic.
Based on the research and survey being conducted, there are 5 factors that related to the relationship between mental health disorder like anxiety and depression with social media use. The first factor is social media use itself. Social media use focuses on how often someone spends their time on social media. It also related to what they do when they are using their social media account. The second factor found is the quality of interactions with others on social media. People with mental health disorder tend to overthink when someone they do not know talk about them. Therefore, the quality of interactions on social media, whether it is positive or negative, plays an important role in someone's life. Negative quality of interactions on social media can lead someone to become depressed, and also they start comparing their life with others. The third factor is social comparison on social media, which focuses on whether users felt affected when they saw someone's better than them by their thinking. Social media users tend to compare everything that they see, hear, or read about others with their own self. This kind of act is definitely a negative act that triggers someone's insecurity that can lead to anxiety and depressions. Mostly, users tend to think other people are better than them, when in reality they are beyond that. The fourth factor is DAS21, that stands for Depression and Anxiety Skills 21, that focuses on users' feelings and emotions. Social media users need to have stable mental health, especially controlling their feelings and emotions. This is because feelings and emotions are very crucial for someone that have depressions and anxiety symptoms. When they cannot control their feelings and emotions, the rate to become people with mental health disorder is very high, which is not good. Therefore, every social media users need to know how to control their feelings and emotions when using social media. Last but not least, the last factor is social media addiction, that focuses on users' purpose when using social media and effect towards them. There are tons of social media addictions effects that can harm someone's life, especially their mental health. Mental health disorders are often caused by addictions towards something or someone that is dangerous for them. Excessive social media use can also lead to mental health disorder, such as depressions, because they cannot have something that others have. There are 5 hypotheses found based on the survey conducted. The first one is the relationship between gender and social media usage. The second one, the relationship between gender and quality of interaction with others on social media. Third one is the relationship between gender and social comparison on social media. The fourth one is the relationship between gender and depression and anxiety, skills 21 or DAS21. Last but not least is the relationship between gender and social media addiction.
My name is Binti. The methodology has been divided into 4 parts: population, sampling, research instrument, and data collection. Based on the article, the title of the form is The Relationship Between Social Media Use, Depression, and Anxiety in Zennial. In contrast to the researcher sample, we exchange Zennial to the general generation, and we also update our survey to entitle Social Media, Depression, and Anxiety Among Generation. and we received 155 responses. Next, we go to population. This survey is general for those aged 17 and above for those who use social media platform. This survey collected a total of 155 responses. However, it can be seen at the table, the survey responses are more representative of female, with 62.6% of respondents and 37.4% of male respondents. Proceed to the age table. The highest frequency of respondent is aged between 21 to 25 years old with 76.1%, followed by the second highest age of 70 to 20 years old with 10.3%. 31 years old and above obtained 7.1%, and the lowest frequency was respondent 25 to 30 years old with 6.5%. Next, we go to race population. Most respondents were Malay, highest with 93.5%, followed by the Chinese with 4.5% and 3 Indian respondents with 1.9%. Furthermore, the table refers to the education of the respondent. The highest respondent fell to a bachelor degree with 55.5%, followed by diploma respondent with 29.0%. Next, high school respondent, as many as 12 respondents with 7.7% and 5.8% for respondents who not schooling, and 1.9% of respondents that have a master degree. Moreover, this is the population for marital status. 130 over 150 respondents were single with 83.9%, and 12.3% is married. However, marital status for widowed was 1.3% and divorce is 0.6%. The rest marital status of other option obtained 1.9% with 3 respondents. As we know, the two sampling techniques that can be used when conducting an online survey are probability sampling and non-probability sampling. In this study, we use the probability sampling technique, which is random sampling technique. Each respondent will be given the same questionnaire, and we have already provided answer option for each question. With the response we get from this survey, the number of female respondent is more than male respondent, and we conclude that female respondents are more impressed with this survey. Next, we continue with research instrument. The questions are divided into 6 sections: introduction section, social media use, quality of interaction with others on social media, social comparison on social media, depression, anxiety, stress scale 21, and burgeoning social media addiction. The first section is the introduction. An introduction about the respondent background, such as age, gender, race, education, and marital status. The second section is social media use. This involves respondent to select the social media account that is often used, and the next question related to the account, such as how many friends are in the selected social media account and how often they use the social media, plus what do they do when logged into social media. Continue with the third section, quality of interaction with others on social media. In this section, we will question the respondent interaction with social media. It means to describe how positive or negative respondents interact in social media. In addition The question in this section also asks about how often respondents feel depressed or down while interacting with others on social media. Then continue with the social comparison on social media section. This section discusses how respondents feel while reading or browsing other people's posts, photo, and video on social media. Moreover, depression, anxiety, stress scale 21 or DAS 21 is the fifth section. On a scale of 0 to 3, never to almost always, where the question is whether the respondent does not feel optimistic, challenged to work up the initiative to do things, overreact to situation and is worried about situation, and easily panic and make a fool of themselves. Last but not least, the last section is burgeoning social media addiction. This section is about the relationship and the use of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and others. Provided a scale of 1 to 5, which is very rare to very often, respondents were asked whether they felt they spend a lot of time thinking about social media or plan use of social media. As mentioned, we use question-based and close-ended research method because while the Google form link is distributed, we can control the question and limit the number of responses. In addition, the close-ended rating scale uses a Likert scale to several questions which involve respondents to pick a number from the scale to show how much they agree or disagree with each statement. Examples of questions that use the Likert scale are from section 3 until section 6.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Delina Nabila Binti Muhammad Bunya, and I'm going to continue the presentation session here. So as you can see on the screen, I'm going to present one of part of data analysis and result, which is the inferential statistics. So as you can see on the screen right now, this is our reliability test that we have done on all of our 5 total of variables that we are using in our research and survey. So reliability test is done in order to determine whether the variables that we are using is reliable or otherwise, reliable or not. So it is stated that when the Cronbach alpha is above 0.7, then it means that the variable is reliable for us to use it. So as you can see on the screen right now, these two are a few of our variables that we are using in our research and survey. So these two variables named social media usage and also quality of interactions with others, they share similarity in terms of its reliability statistics. So as you can see, both of these variables respectively have 0.334 and also 0.232 reliability statistics. So this means that these two variables are not very reliable because of the Cronbach alpha is below 0.7. So as you can see on the screen right now, these two variables named social comparison on social media and also depression and anxiety scales 21, DAS 21. So these two variables that we are using also share similarity in terms of its Cronbach alpha. So as you can see here, the Cronbach alpha respectively are 0.872 and also 0.921. So this means that both of these variables are reliable and can be considered as good because of the Cronbach alpha is exceed 0.7 statistic. So this means that these two variables are suitable for us to use as a variable for our survey. So this is the 5th out of 5 variables of our survey, which is a social media addiction. So as you can see, the Cronbach alpha is 0.76 as we tested using SPSS. So this means that this variable is can be considered as acceptable. It can be used, but it barely above or exceed 0.7 Cronbach alpha. So which is actually it is still can be used, but it is not as good as the previous ones. So in order to complete our inferential statistic towards our variables in our research and survey. So firstly, we have created 5 hypotheses in total, and we have tested all of the hypotheses to determine its significant difference. So significant difference here means that to test whether the hypotheses that we have created have relationship or not, something like that. So we have used independent sample t-test to determine the significant difference of the hypothesis. So as you can see on the screen, these are our hypotheses that we have created. So we did target that gender did not give effect towards all of the variables that we have used in the survey that we have done before. So let us look together the results that we have obtained through the significant difference test. So as you can see on the screen, this is the result of independent sample t-test that we have made on our first hypothesis. So as you can see, the p-value of this hypothesis is 0.099, which exceeds 0.05. So when the p-value is above 0.05, this means that there is no significant difference between the two variables tested. So this means that the hypothesis, our first hypothesis, is accepted. So this is our second hypothesis. So the p-value we obtained through this t-test is 0.392. So it is also exceed 0.05, which shows that there is no significant difference between gender and quality of interactions with others on social media. So this also means that our second hypothesis is accepted. So the next one, the p-value is 0.265, which is also exceed 0.05, and our third hypothesis is accepted because there is no significant difference between gender and social comparison on social media among our respondents. So number 4, the p-value is 0.871, which also exceed above 0.05, which means that there is also no significant difference between gender and depression and anxiety scales. So our fourth hypothesis is also accepted. And the last one, the p-value is 0.141. So this also our last hypothesis is also accepted because the p-value is above 0.05 and there is no significant difference between gender and social media addiction. So all of our hypotheses made are accepted because all of the p-value after independent sample t-test tested on our hypothesis shows that all of the p-value are above 0.05. And lastly, we also have performed or did test correlations of our variables using correlation on the SPSS. So it is still the same as the previous one, because when there is no significant difference, it means that there is no relationship present between the two variables tested. So as you can see on the screen, these are the correlations. As for the relationship between gender and social media usage, the p-value is 0.84 above 0.05. The second relationship, the p-value is 0.365. The third one, gender and social comparison on social media, the p-value is 0.266. Gender with depression and anxiety scales, the p-value is 0.873. And the last relationship between gender and social media addiction, the p-value is 0.132. So all of the 5 relationships shows that there is no relationship between gender and all of the 5 variables. So in other words, gender do not affect the variables, affect addiction or any other variables on the respondents. So as you can see on the screen right now, this is our correlation coefficient discussion table. So this table shows all of the correlation between variables that we use in our survey, in our research. So this table shows exactly all relationship between all variables. So as for our hypothesis, it shows that there is no significant difference. So there is no relationship between gender and all of the 5 variables. However, we found that there are relationships between the 5 variables among themselves. So here we provide together the list of the relationships. Okay, so the final result and finding of our survey. So after all of the tests that we have done on the hypothesis we have created by using SPSS, it is found that all of our hypotheses are accepted because there is no significant difference between gender and all of the 5 variables, which also imply that there are no relationship between the variables, but instead, after we made the correlation coefficient table, we found that there are actually many other relationships between the variables themselves. However, our finding and result shows that our hypotheses are accepted and we managed to obtain exactly what we have expected. So that is all the result and finding of inferential statistics.
Assalamualaikum and hi. I would like to explain about the data analysis about this project. As we can see, this is the frequency of mean and standard deviation of each variable. The mean is the arithmetic average of a group of scores. That is, the scores are added up and divided by the number of scores, while standard deviation is widely used measurement of variability used in statistics. It shows how much variation there is from the average, which is mean. Based on this table, we can see the highest score of mean and standard deviation is at the variable 1, and the lowest score of mean and standard deviation is at the variable 4, with the total number of respondents, which is 155 people. So next, this is the frequency histogram for mean and standard deviation for social media usage, which shows the mean is 3.02 and the standard deviation is 0.604.